All right, hello everyone, and welcome to MMA Island. I'm Zach Harkness, and today I'm joined by UFC bantamweight star, Mr. Adrian Yanez. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Just blessed, A lot of hard work came into this, and I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, last time we talked, you were getting booked for a main event fight in Fury Fighting Championship. And now here you are, a bonus winner in the UFC. Crazy how things move so fast.
Yeah, man. It was nuts, especially in the beginning of the year, man. The beginning of the year just kind of just went freaking nuts for everybody, man. So it was just one of those things that like you just had to keep on grinding. You just had to keep on working because, man, this thing went turned upside down.
And it seemed to be a really good thing for you now. And I want to start by talking about your Contender Series appearance, which I don't think it's an unfair assessment to say you were kind of the star of this season of Contender Series after that crazy, crazy knockout. That was probably the best one of the entire show so far of the season. So can you tell me about the lead up to Contender Series, you getting to contract and, the fight itself?
And I was during the whole little process, the fight got canceled in February, March, and it was like it got canceled. So I just ended up like kind of just like flipping out. But also at the same time, I was told that, hey, you got you're getting a shot at the contenders. I was like, oh, hell yeah. So honestly, after that, from like the beginning of the year all the way up until the summer started, man, I was busting my ass in the gym every single day. Uh, and then I officially got my contract like about 6 weeks before, where you signed the contract for the fight and everything. So uh, once I saw the actual contract, man, that's what made me be like, I'm kicking this into another gear, man. I was training super hard, man. And then yeah, having to going up to Vegas, was pretty fun. It was like the weirdest experience for me because that was my first time ever like flying over to another city, another state just to even fight. So it was a weird experience at first, but then once I got there, everything just felt very calm, very nice, and it felt like I should have already been there. So once I went in, once I stepped into that cage, I just knew that I wasn't leaving without a contract. And especially, man, like after like during the fight, Brady was giving me like I saw everything that Brady was throwing. I felt like he had telegraphed everything, and it just set me up for like success. Once I saw that right hand, I was like, he's loading up on it. He's taking a hard step. He's gonna try to launch that right hand, and as soon as I saw all the tells, I just pretty much knew I need to slip off, throw my own right, left, and just unload, just really unload. And it happened like that. I thought I honestly like it felt weird just because I went in there, no crowd, no nothing, no cheering or anything. Just go in there and just knock him out, and then right after that, I was like, "Oh shit, it's super quiet in here. That's weird." So it was super awesome, man. Because like right after that, man, it was just like this sense of relief, man. That I worked so hard just to even get there, and now that I had got there and I passed with flying colors, it was a really like big weight off my shoulders.
And did you go up and talk to Dana White after? What was that like? Because I know he's made up to be this larger than life figure, and you've actually met him. So how was it like meeting Dana White, and how did he react to your performance?
He was really excited. He was really happy. He signed everybody. He signed everybody that night. So
That's right.
it was pretty cool. He was really happy and really happy to see everybody. Signed everybody. Walked up to him, man. I just looked at him. I was like, "Hey, man, you just changed my life. Like you just changed my life." And he just looked at me and says, "This is what we're in the business for." And pretty much that was the extent of the conversation. But uh, it was just pretty cool, man. Just to just have your life kind of just change overnight like that. So it was pretty awesome.
So as we know, you weren't the only one of your teammates to compete on this season of the Contender Series. So I can only imagine that the environment in the gym was really intense with you guys training harder than ever. Do you think that was like what was the environment in the gym like with three of you guys going into the Contender Series and getting ready for their fights?
Man, it was man, it was, everybody was on their A game, man. Nobody wanted to be it, you couldn't show up to the gym at 70%. You know, you had to walk into the gym and be like on your A game at all times, because man, like if I wasn't on my game, we had Leo Mana that'd be on his game. You had to be like, oh shit, like I have to be on my P's and Q's. Or like if I wasn't on my game and Leo wasn't on his game, we had Jacob Silva who's a solid hard hitter, man. Dude knock anybody out. So you had to be on. We both had to be on our P's and Q's, and vice versa with all three of us, you know. And then we also had a lot of other amateur fighters that were training with us, you know, and they see where we're at and they want to get there. So obviously they want to start like pushing us, and so they want to learn. They want to try to pick up everything that we're doing. They want to get to the spot that we're at. So, you know, it was never really like a dull moment in the environment in the gym, because you're always competing. You always feel like you're competing with the next person right next to you. So it was just, you can never have an off day. You just had to make sure that every single time you stepped on that mat that you just looked and you're like, all right, cool, we're going to roll. I'm about to have like a really good roll, or I'm about to just get dominated the whole entire time because I'm exhausted. Next time I need to get more sleep. You need to just make sure you're just making sure you're hitting everything on the list. So you got to make sure you're eating right. You got to make sure you're sleeping well. You got to make sure you're hydrated. So you had to make sure every single thing was down right, because every little thing, every time you stepped onto the mat, it mattered. It mattered.
So are you the first fighter from Metro Fight Club to get into the UFC?
Yes and no. Yes in the case that like I am, like, whenever I stepped into Metro Fight Club the first time, I am the first out of that group, like out of everybody in there, like from that point on, from 18 to now. Nobody in the Metro Fight Club. They gotten close. We had Carlo Prater got his shot in the UFC. He came back to train with my coach Saul. Things didn't plan out. You know, he had him for one fight, and then he went back and just kind of, you know, he wasn't really even there. So it's kind of hard. But we've had some people come in and out. But I'm the first guy from the group that I started with that got into the UFC. Like Coach Saul, he's had like Tito Ortiz, Rico Rodriguez. He's trained a lot of these guys, you know. So so I'm not the first guy. I'm not the first person he's gotten into the UFC, but I am like his, like, pretty much like from 18 to now, I'm like that group. Like from the years that I've been there, I'm the first guy to get into the UFC.
So I want to go back to the Contender Series, and your opponent, Brady Wong, he fought overseas a lot. He had an impressive record, and yet you were the huge favorite going into that fight. And I've always wondered, what is it like for fighters in their head to be this big of favorite? Does it add a little bit of an extra pressure to perform, or does it give you an extra boost of confidence that there are so many people expecting you to win?
It was a little bit of both, man. It was definitely a little bit of both, because from what I was looking at, I was like, man, these odds people are seeing what I'm seeing. They're seeing exactly what I'm seeing. They're seeing that my skill is better than this guy's skill, and the reason I'm such a huge favorite is because of me, you know, is because of me. But also, it was just one of those kind of like, it was like, well, you know, like I can't overlook this guy. This guy's got a really good record. He's fought overseas. The last guy he fought was pretty tough. Was really, really tough. So I was like, man, I got to be on my P's and Q's. Like, dude, like this is weird. You know, he's a tough guy. Why am I such a big favorite? It was weird. It was super, super weird. But also, I've been like the underdog like almost my whole entire career. You know, like with every fight other than the short notice ones, like I've been the underdog. So to me, it really didn't matter, because I wasn't really sticking to it. Honestly, what I was trying to do is I was trying to see like if I was at least like a plus 150, so I would have put some money down on myself. Like I was actually looking for the spot to jump in and place the bet on myself and be like, yeah, all right, cool, I'm going all in on myself. But it was just too high to make the money, so I was just like, all right. But it just doesn't bother me.
So after the fight, the big thing that seemed to come out around you was the comparisons to Jorge Masvidal. Those were coming out of everyone was saying that. So I'm wondering what you're thinking about the comparisons to Jorge Masvidal and yourself, and has he even reached out to you?
No, he has yet to reach out to me, but it would be pretty cool. I've had everybody else but Jorge Masvidal reach out to me. It's pretty cool, man. It's super cool that I get that comparison, man, because I've been watching him since way back, since like his loss to Ali Quinta. I know he's had like plenty of fights before. I had to go do a whole bunch of backlogging, but the fight that really sticks out to me is that Ali Quinta, like the first one I actually like really watched of Jorge Masvidal. I was like, whenever I watched it live, uh, like, oh yeah. Also, I didn't correlate the Street Fighter to the actual fighter until like probably like a year after that. I was like, oh shit, that's actually the guy that fought in the backyard. It's like, oh, never knew that. That's pretty cool. But I just loved the way he fought, man. I loved his style. I loved the boxing. I loved how slick he was, the head movement and everything. So it's really cool to get like somebody who you like, just to get that comparison to them. So it's pretty nice, man. Like every time I go into the UFC comments and start like there's a post about me, they're like, oh, you mean little Game Bread or little Masvidal and all that stuff. That's pretty cool. But like I said, like at the UFC press conference and at the like on the mic as I do, like as much as I love the comparison, man, but I'm here to make Yanez be known. I don't want to be known as Little Game Bread. Even though the moniker is pretty cool, being a little version of somebody else is pretty cool, but I'm nobody's mini me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you've heard from everyone but Jorge Masvidal. So what's kind of your biggest starstruck moment of someone who's reached out to you after your UFC like win?
And my biggest and my most favorite one is definitely Sugar Rashad Evans, dude. Like I just tagged him, like, cause I was like looking at the post fight thing, and I was the post fight event, the post fight night stuff, and they were talking about me, and I was just like man, like this feels like amazing. This is pretty fucking badass that like I got Rashad Evans like saying all these good things about me. Like this guy is somebody like, dude, like he's like MMA Hall of Fame worthy. And just to see him say nothing but good things about me, I was just like, that made me sit back and be like, wow, that made my night. And then I tagged him on the Instagram story. He replies to me, but not only does he reply to me, he actually replies to me with this whole big message, and like giving me nothing but advice. And that to me, like just made it like that much better. Like they say never meet your idols. I met Anderson Silva, great person, absolutely great person. And then also, even though I never met Rashad, after he like reached out to me and sent me a long message, he pretty much like he gave me like wise words. It was really, really wise words, and it was like I that experience was really nice, man. That was my highlight of that time.
You did meet Anderson Silva. What was that like? How did that happen?
Dude, I was starstruck. He was walking out the UFCPI, and I was me, my training partner, and my coach were walking in, and like me and my training partner, I wasn't even gonna take a picture with him. My training partner was just looking at me like back and forth, like, you gonna do it? And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. He's like, you gonna do it? I was like, I'm gonna do it. He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And he went to go ask for a picture, and I was just right there, and I was like, you know what? Let me jump in. And he was just such the nicest guy. Such a really nice guy. Took the time out to take a picture, said good stuff, and then was just like happy-go-lucky guy. Even wanted to take a picture of my coach. So it was pretty cool, man. It was really, really cool.
So I want to talk about the first UFC fight, and obviously an incredible performance, bonus winning performance. But before that, you weren't supposed to fight Victor Rodriguez. You were supposed to fight Aaron Phillips. So what was the game plan for the two fights like drastically different? Did you have to change your approach all that much? And what were your thoughts when Aaron pulled out of the fight?
And not too much really went into it, man, because I've how can I say it? It's like in the regional scene, in the regional circuit, you constantly get an influx of like fighters pulling out, fighters not showing up to the fight. You have to fight somebody else the day of the fight. You fight somebody else you get somebody else a week of or a week later, a month later. So to me, it just never really bothered me. I was like, oh, okay, you got somebody else. Okay, cool, that's fine. I'm cool with this. I really wanted that fight with Aaron Phillips, just because last year, actually, last Thanksgiving, I was talking to a legacy LFA former matchmaker, Colin Cantrell, and he pretty much was trying to set this fight up if we weren't in the UFC. Like he was telling me, he's like, next year, if you and Aaron Phillips aren't in the UFC, I want to put y'all on a card. He's like, I want to put y'all on a card and we can make this happen. He's like, the best of Louisiana versus the best of Texas. He was like, pretty much that's how the fight card was going to go, but he really wanted me and Aaron Phillips on that card. So it would have been a really good one. Like I wanted that fight back. I wanted to get that fight back, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. But yeah, no, like the switch over to Victor Rodriguez, it definitely, to me, it was not an easier fight, but it was just, for me, I do very well if you're shorter than me. Like I know how to keep my distance. I know my reach. I know my distance a lot very well. And if you're kind of shorter than me, and you have shorter reach than me, it's going to be easier for me to pick you off. I just love setting the traps. And then also Jacob Silva, 5'5". This other guy's 5'5". So it was pretty much like I was sparring with him, like almost like my whole training camp. So it was pretty easy just to get my timing, get my distance set in very well. So it wasn't that big of a difference to me.
If I remember correctly, there was like a little bit of heat in the face-off between you two. Like he got right up in your face, and that was pretty intense.
Dude, oh man. Well, he was in the I don't get it. I really don't get it, man. Because the guy was walking around, and I was looking, and I was just like sitting there. I was waiting for I think I had just weighed in, did my official weigh-in, and so I was eating my food, and I just look up and I see him just walking around, just mean mugging me, and just like pounding his fist like this, just mean mugging, just like mad. And I'm just like, what? Like, I looked at my training partner who was there, and he was like, I think that's the guy I'm fighting. Like, cause he had the mask on, I couldn't tell, and I'm over here drinking my hydration drink, and he's just going off and just walking around, just like trying to mean mug me and just pounding his fist, like a fifth grader would do to like a third grader or something like that. Like it was annoying. It was really, really annoying. He did that so many times. And then like it was, I walked up to him like as soon as I got on the stage, it just like I just started feeling like I'm gonna beat this guy's ass. Like I'm gonna go in there and and it was really bugging me because he was smiling at me and just like. And I was just like, all right, dude, he's trying to play mind games with me. I was like, I'm going to show him that, like I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of anybody else. Like, I'm definitely going to kick your ass. And as soon as we faced off, I'm looking at him. I was just like, oh, yeah, come on, smile now. Smile now, bro. Smile now.
Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah. And it was funny because we went back for the fighter meeting with Dana White. He sits back and he has a meeting with the fighters. It was funny because they had to separate me. They separated me and my training partner, and we had the security guard standing next to us. And out of nowhere, I see Victor. He sits in the chair right next to me, and the guy was like, "Yeah, we had to do for precautionary measures. We had to spread you apart and everything." He's like, "Hey, where's the guy you're fighting? Where's he sitting at?" And I was like, "Oh, he's right there next to you." He looks. He's like, "Oh shit." So I was like, "Yeah, whatever." But he was in between us where he couldn't see me, and me and Victor couldn't see each other for a second. And honestly, this was the part where I was like I really wanted to go off on this guy just for that, like for the weigh-ins day, because I didn't know this until later, but my training partner was sitting across from me, but he could see Victor, and supposedly Victor was like mean mugging my training partner and just like talking mess. I was like, dude, that's my training partner. That's pretty much a coach. I was like, you don't do that. I was like,
no, you don't.
No, you don't do that. It's like, I'm the guy you're fighting. I'm the guy that you're gonna step in the cage and fight. It's like, you can do anything you want to me, but you ain't gonna be sitting there talking shit to my training partner or my coaches or anything like that. I take that very personal. So that's why in the cage, I was just like, as soon as I walked in, I looked at him and I just started, I like kind of had a smile or a laugh, and I was like, yeah, it's like, it's not your night, buddy.
Yeah, you were pretty much everyone was picking you to win that fight. You were a huge favorite and one of the favorite parlay pieces of bettors. You won people a lot of money. So I'm wondering if you were watching any of the predictions that went out, and were you reassured in the fact that almost everyone was choosing you to win this fight?
And it was just one of those things that like I had to push that away out of my mind. Of course, I was seeing a lot of stuff. I had a lot of people messaging me saying that they were betting on me, and I'm just like, I need to put my phone down because like this is gonna distract me.
Right. Yeah.
But it was just one of those things that I was like looking for. I was kind of hoping that they were looking at his power to being like, oh yeah, they'll even up the odds. So then again, I could have placed a bet on myself. I was really like, I've been really wanting to place a good bet on myself, but no, that just wasn't happening. And I really didn't want to do any parlays or anything like that. I just wanted a straight bet on me, but no, like I just pushed it all out of my mind. And of course, as again, the odds were very correct in this one. Just they looked at my style, they looked at my body of work and like my skill set. They looked at his body of work and his skill set. Of course, I'm gonna be the top guy. So it is what it is.
And I remember messaging you after the fight, and I was noting how you kept your hands down the entire time, and like you're letting him hit you a little bit. But was that now to like send a message to him? Because you mentioned all this before with all the pre-fight beef that I didn't actually know about. I just saw the face-off. Was that to say like you can't do anything to me?
Yeah, that was pretty much like how I felt during that time. As soon as I started walking him down, and like moving forward, like I could see like the first shot I rocked him with, the first right hand, he stepped back and he was smiling during that whole time, but I had a straight kill mode face on. And after I started like moving in on him, he knew that I wasn't gonna back down, even after the freaking hard shots that he was throwing at me. And honestly, if I got that little bit of a, this might be a little bit of a downfall, but I do have that little bit of a like ego where like let's just say like you were talking mess to me and then you hit me and I know that you like for me if you don't hit hard for me, I'm gonna walk you down and I'm gonna let you know that hey, you don't hit hard, I'm putting you out. And that's pretty much exactly what I did. I just walked him down and I was hitting him with virtually almost every single shot I was throwing.
Yeah, you were. Now remember, you were landing almost everything. And so a lot of the pre-fight talk about Rodriguez is that he was pretty powerful. Like he was knocking a lot of people out, and yet you were eating his shots like it was nothing. Were you trying to like test his power by just like putting your hands down? And was he that powerful? I mean, obviously he wasn't, because you kind of just ate them like it was nothing.
Yeah, it was a bit of both, and also it was just kind of a little bit of me getting a little bit. I got way too comfortable because I knew that, like, I just kind of felt like I knew that I was just gonna go in there and just mollywop this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a bit of like I want to take the shot, so like I could send like a message to him, be like, hey, like you fucked up, but also at the same time it was just a bit me being a little bit too comfortable. I in my head thinking back now, what I should have done is made him miss all those shots and made him look ridiculous. Much respect to the guy afterwards, but I should have done like, hey, use my head movement. I should have made him miss, just made him look that much more worse. But it's a little bit of ego, man. That's all it was.
So it seemed like when you knocked him out, it was with a head kick and he just went down. It was a great, great knockout. But it kind of seemed like you were looking for that head kick because you were hitting with like a bunch of punches. Did you want to go for a flat KO like that? Is that what you're looking for opposed to just a regular TKO?
Yeah, I really wanted the head kick knockout. Honestly, I called the shot. I was calling my shot for like once I got that fight, I looked up his some of his fights, and then I was looking. I was like, you know what, this guy, I think I can hit him with the head kick. I think I can knock him out. Like I really believe I stopped this guy with the head kick. Because I see him get rocked with punches, but sometimes that guy has a hard head. His head looks a little bit too big for his body. No disrespect, but those guys usually tend to take a really good punch. So I was like, I want to hit him with the head kick, and I saw a lot of openings and like in his fights, and I was like, I know I can hit it. And I was telling my training partner before, telling my training partner like all week, he's like, I'm gonna knock him out with the head kick. Just watch me. Knock him out with the head kick. And then right after I knocked him out, like I went up to Dana, and then after that I went to my corner. I looked at my training partner. I was like, hey, what was I saying? What did I say that I won? He was like, that head kick. I was like, yep. So
You got it. You predicted it.
yeah, especially on that one. And it just set it up perfect for me. It set it up perfect for me because I shifted out because I wanted him to run out the other way. Because like I literally set that trap out, and he took the bait on that really, really hard, and I just launched it.
And that head kick led you to a UFC bonus in your first fight, and that must have been really, really cool. Tell me what it's like to get a UFC bonus in your first fight. What is that feeling like?
And it just reassured me that I did was right, because the week before the fight was my last day at work. So I was like, yeah. It helped me out so much. So I was like, going out, like I was looking, I walked up to Dana, I was like, hey, 50 G's. And he's like, 50 G's worthy? And he just shook his head like, yeah. And I was walking around, me and my training partners and my coach and my brother, we went back to the hotel room after we did the press conference. And we literally sat there and watched every single fight and be like, yeah, I don't think that's a knockout. And I don't think that knockout's better. Like we were looking at the fights completely differently, hoping like, you know what, I think this fight goes the distance. It'd be a good one. We just started looking at the fights completely differently. So it was pretty cool, man. And once I got home and everything, realizing, man, that I just made the most money I have ever made within a year in this short amount of time. And it's like, dude, I did it like within August, September, October. So in a span of like a couple months, I've made the most money probably within, like, I had to work 2.5 years just to even get close to what I made in those fights. And to me, that was just like, it's crazy. It's crazy that I've it just reassured me that like I'm doing good for myself,
So you did quit your job, and now you're fighting full time?
Yeah, fighting full time, man. It's great, man, because now I get to actually rest and recover and do all the necessities that I need to do. Like I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning just to go hit a run, just to make sure I get my runs in, and then I go into work around 7, get off at have lunch around 12, get off at 5:30, and had to be at the gym at 6. And where I was at, and where I worked at, to where I trained at, dude, you're lucky to get there in 30 minutes. You're lucky to get there in 30 minutes. So I'd be rushing hard just to get there. And it's just, my days were just so jam packed. And like that last fight, I wasn't even a full on like fighter. I was still doing that whole like working a 9-to-5 job and still training at the same time. So now I get to have this like full-time fighter life where I'm able to train full-time, and like get the adamant amount of rest that I need, and just fully focus on fighting. And that's going to be like the first time in a long time that I've had that.
So when was the moment that you decided that I'm going to become a full-time fighter? Because I can imagine it's over like a big milestone, like you getting the contract or the bonus, but it seems like it was before, in between those things. So how did you decide to like make the switch, quit your job, and become the full-time fighter?
It was like right after the Brady fight. I just knew that I knew I had to bet on myself, if that's the right terms, man. I just knew that I could pull it off. I knew that I could do this. It's just that the time that, especially for me, the time frame wasn't working. If I like since I came out that fight like pretty much unscathed,
Mhm.
I was like, man, put me on a fight next week, but just didn't happen. My manager got with me. They said October 31st, gonna be Riot Hall, Silva undercard, and I was like, all right, cool, I can wait that long. That's fine for me. And unfortunately, not me realizing wasn't even that long. So I just was working, and halfway through October, I just told my boss like, yeah, I'm just my 2 weeks, man. My 2 weeks. My last day is gonna be this day. Uh, Gave him enough time to find somebody else, and I just was like, all right, cool. Left on a good note, just in case. But no, like I just kind of knew right leading up to that fight that I was like, if I'm really gonna try to follow my dreams and be in the UFC and be in the UFC for a very long time, I have to commit 100%. Like I know there's other fighters that have that do have jobs and still train and all that, but man, like I 100% like am addicted to fighting. I'm like passionate about it, and I know what I want to do. So once I get to that position and I start moving forward towards it, and it's gonna be a lot better for me. Like especially now, man. Now I get the chance to actually learn some more technique. Like probably like 1 or 2 days out of the week, I might have gotten like a little bit more technique, but it just wasn't really happening because we had to be on grind time the whole entire time. Especially this whole year. But at the beginning of the year, I've actually grown a lot more as a fighter, just doing because there wasn't gonna be no shows, but we just still kept training. But like from pretty much from the summer till now, like till like the actual fight, I really didn't learn too much. It was just more just grinding and grinding and grinding, making sure that I was in shape, just so whenever I stepped in the fight, I was in really good shape that I could have gone 5 rounds if needed to be.
Yeah, and you've been a full-time fighter for a little bit now, it seems. And I want to know, what is the biggest benefits you're noticing so far? I mean, now that you can train full-time and not have to worry about a 9-to-5 job getting in between places, I'm sure you felt some benefits already.
Oh, dude, I'll actually tell you some shit actually happened. I actually caught COVID.
Really?
I haven't put it on social media or anything. I probably only told one other person, one other podcast, but that was like, yeah, I caught COVID like right after I got back, and I was supposed to go fly back out and corner Jacob Silva in his JP Buys fight whenever he was
Really?
yeah, I caught COVID and I got sick, so I had to stay out. Like I had to do my 10-day quarantine. So pretty much like I took a test Monday, found out I believe Tuesday morning. I think it was no, it was Wednesday morning. It was Wednesday morning. I found out, and then after that, it was like I had to just spend like 10 more days quarantine, and like for the whole, pretty much like my whole month of November almost kind of just went like that because I had like no chance to train. But for these past couple of weeks that I've been able to get back into the gym, like I got back into the gym finally the week of Thanksgiving. I only went Monday, Tuesday. I didn't go Wednesday, and then also we had the Thanksgiving break and everything. But man, it was just so hard to recover, man. The COVID kind of like like I felt like I was already moving 10 steps forward, and ended up getting knocked back five or six. COVID took a toll. Like I didn't have the major symptoms of everything. I just felt like I was super dehydrated. I just kept drinking water and everything, just making sure I had my electrolytes. But I didn't get I didn't get it bad. I could still taste, I could still smell, and everything. So it was just weird. But once I started getting able to get back to it, I couldn't recover. Like these past, like last week I went Monday, and then on Tuesday I felt like I couldn't get out of bed. It was weird, but once I started following once I started doing a little bit more of like vitamins and like started making sure I got the right amount of sleep and just making sure that everything around me was good, like I started feeling like a lot better. I started like being able to control more, and that was actually possible through me not being having to work. Like let's just say like if I went to sleep at 12, I could sleep in and get the good amount of rest that I actually needed, So it actually helped me out a lot more to actually recover a lot more, because who knows, Monday I go and train, can't get out of bed Tuesday, but I have to go to work, end up screwing myself over because I'm not getting the adequate amount of rest that I need. Then Wednesday I'm terrible, Thursday I'm terrible, and then Friday I finally feel good, but it's the end of the week. You've already lost like 2 good training sessions or 3 good training sessions. So, it's been a blessing. It's been a really good, like a blessing for me, just like to even catch it, and then also just for me to recover and have like not having to worry about going to work. I'm like, how can I say it? Like I had the amount of time to rest. Like I had all the things working with me to fight
Right.
the disease.
Man, so what I can understand why you didn't want to make that public, because that's kind of scary that you caught COVID. Luckily, you didn't do it in the fight, so you didn't have to pull out. That would have been really bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to fight soon, man. I wanted to get on December 19th. I wanted to
That card's
get
stacked.
I wanted to be there fighting, man. I was like, yeah, man, I got my shot. He's like, I'm here. Like, man, let's hit, let's do what Chimaev is doing. Let's go back in there. Caught COVID, blew out all my plans. But I was talking to my manager, and pretty much like because he caught COVID beginning of the year, and he was telling me like what he went through and everything, and so I think it was a game plan for me, just to even like just for me to recover, because I wanted to go back in January, early February, but he has the fight. We actually just signed the fight not too long ago.
Really?
We're gonna be fighting March 20th.
March 20th.
Yeah, so we gave ourselves a little bit of time and space just so I can make sure that I'm good, I'm recovered. Actually, I'm probably gonna fly out to Vegas sometime soon and go to the USCPI just so I can do like a little bit more testing, just so I can get more like, just so I can zone in on like my own health, my own fitness, and see where I can push myself and everything. So, so everything's working out perfectly, just exactly the way it should be planned.
Do we got a name for March 20th, or can we not disclose that yet?
Oh yeah, I signed the contract. I just don't think the UFC set it out, like put it out. But we're not no main event or anything like that. But it's gonna be against Gustavo Lopez.
Really?
Yeah. I wanted to get that Nathan Maness fight because he called me out. He actually called me out like the day before my birthday, and I was like, man, this is an early birthday present, that I'd be able to get. My manager ended up messaging me, and he was like, yeah, Maness calling us out, and I was like, let's do it. I was like, I'm game, 100%. But in the heat of the moment, I forgot I already signed the fight. Like I'd already signed the fight for March 20th. So Nathan Maness can get that fight. We can get it. We can get it on and rocking right after. Or hey, if Gustavo Lopez gets injured or anything like that, man, hey Nathan, you're more than welcome to step in. You're more than welcome. So, never gonna run away from a fight. And just like I said it once, and I'll say it again, anybody can and will get it. So, unfortunately, I have this guy to go through. All my focus is on this guy, and then after Nathan can get it.
So you really want the one. How does it feel to get called out like that by a UFC fight? Is that cool?
Hey, it's pretty cool, man. But also at the same time, it's just kind of like it's cool, but also like it's that it gets you going. It gets you going. Like, man, yeah, somebody wants to fight. I felt like I was about to do the victor right now. It's like, yeah, let's go. But no, it was pretty cool, man. It got me ready, and I just like it pumped me up. I was just like, we were celebrating my birthday that day, actually, because we were gonna watch that, and we were gonna watch the Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. fight.
Mm-hmm.
And we were celebrating my birthday that day, and I just remember just sitting there watching TV. I watched the fight, and I was like, yeah, it's an average fight to me. It's like, it's all right. Then I was going back to what was going on the TV, the Tyson on the trailer, Tyson and Jones, and then out of nowhere, my phone blows up, and I was like, oh, okay, what? Like, I couldn't hear what they were saying on the interview stuff, and I started looking, and my manager was like, hey, Nathan's calling us out, and I was like, let's do it. And we were talking for a little bit, and then he was like, you already signed the contract for Gustavo. I was like, all right. But it gets you pumped, man. I loved it. It made me feel like yeah, like if if he would have called me out and be like, we can do this a week later, I definitely would have done it. I'm like, yeah, 100%, let's go. But contract obligations.
Yeah, I know how that goes. And you mentioned you actually brought up the Jacob Silva versus JP Bates fight, and I actually want to get your opinion on that because that was a pretty controversial thing in the MMA sphere. I thought that was a terrible, terrible stoppage, but I want to know your thoughts on that.
Man, it to me it was first and foremost. I definitely want to get this one out there. We can't take away anything from JP Bates because he's like legit a savage. He's a really good fighter and deserves to be in the UFC. But also we do have to acknowledge that that was a very terrible stoppage. Like whether or not, like, you have to, like, the fight, the ref should always be looking, should always be trying to see if how you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're hearing. Like they said they were hearing snoring, but also the dude's just breathing. He's getting choked. He's getting choked, but he also had like 6 seconds left on the clock.
And he was
if he
fine.
would have went out, like if he would have went out, that would have been like, that's at least to me how Jacob explained. He's like, I wouldn't have been mad if I'd been out. Like I'm not gonna tap to that. Like I'm not gonna tap to this choke. And he was telling me that that Mark Goddard didn't even check his arms, didn't check nothing, just automatically was just like stopped it and didn't even like have no remorse. He just said it's over. Like didn't even give the chance for the instant replay or anything, just to even see that if he was asleep or even had a chance to even come back too. Like if he was asleep, like, and then he had that second where like he got that the brain flow back and just started just jumping up like I wasn't out. Like man, like I don't know, man. There's just a lot of things. I just think that was a very terrible stoppage. He had 6 seconds left on the clock. Like honestly, to me, it's just like it's 6 seconds. You hear him still breathing, even though he's like having trouble breathing because he's in a choke. Man, let him go out. 6 seconds, like 6 seconds. Takes 3 more seconds for him to go to sleep. He goes on the choke for probably 3 more, and then he lets go whenever the bell rings. And if he's still laying there, he's still laying there. But from what Jacob Silva was telling me is that he was fine. He was fine. He was just holding on. He was just stacking, just trying to make sure that he could survive the round.
Yeah,
But
and
shit happens.
it does. And I have a kind of interesting question because, that's your teammate right there. That's one of your main training partners. And I'm wondering if that affects you and you're going into a fight and you see Mark Goddard is reffing it. Do you think of it any different now?
Man, unfortunately, I've had 2 great refs in my reffing my fight. Whenever I stepped in, I had Jason Herzog and Herb Dean. So I've had 2 great refs, 2 phenomenal refs that are really well in the game. Of course, we all have bad calls, but Mark Goddard's had some shaky calls. I think that was, to me, that was one of the bad ones.
Oh yeah.
I definitely do look at it and especially here in Texas, man. Texas judging has never been good. Like,
Joe Solis, we know.
yeah, like it's very terrible, man. It's really bad. So like to me, I've always just felt like they're always against me. Like coming up, I just always felt that they were against me. Kind of looking back to that Kyle Estrada fight, the more I watch it, the more I'm like, I won that fight 2-1. There should have been no split decision. I always look at these fights and I just like see where I lost close fights, or like I started looking like the Miles Johns, that should have been 48-47 either way. But I think somebody had him winning 4 or 5 rounds, and like I'm just like, how do you give him another fight? How do you give him the last round where I almost choked him out? Or how do you give him most of these where I'm landing more of the significant strikes, even though if he's just holding me on the fence? And there's just a lot of things, but I just never felt like the ref or the judges were going to be on our side. So that's the mentality I take every single time. The best part about being in the UFC is my last 2 fights. I had Jason Herzog and Herb Dean, so I haven't had to worry about that. But also, since we're going to be having more fighters getting into the UFC, I am taking a look at that because, they're just you just have to have that, like, it's everybody versus you anyways. So that's how I feel. I do feel that, like Aljamain Sterling said, he's we're athletes. The officials feel like they're more popular and stuff. Like, felt like man, Mark Goddard, like, he could have handled that situation a lot better. If he would have at least told Jacob Silva, like, hey, like, it might have been a shaky call, let's do the instant replay, and even if they still kept that same decision, it still would have been like at least he treated him fairly instead of just being like, nope, it's over, I'm not wrong, you're wrong, we're on to the next one. Just kind of like messed up a big opportunity for my training partner Jacob Silva. That's the like, and I'm gonna say it bluntly, it's a fucked up situation. He's really, really fucked up, because like, if he would have got the contract, that would have changed his life. So it's a lot, man. It's definitely a lot. It's what can you do? And the officiating needs to step up their game, especially if we have these rules where you're able to use instant replays and everything. Just use them, man. Like, go out there and just be like, all right, cool. Like, even if it's just against what you normally do, just like, hey, step out if you feel like that call was a little bit shaky, like, hey, let's go to the instant replay, go back to it. Okay, cool. You get it, hey. But yeah, I could keep talking days and days and days, but
yeah. Well, I think unfortunately this is all the time that I have for today. I'd thank you so much for joining me here. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people out there?
Oh man, thank y'all for supporting me. Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been a great experience, man. I know a lot of people have followed me from the beginning of my career to now, saw the growth. So, man, thank y'all so much. I'm just blessed. To have everybody in all the sports. So, man, thank y'all so much, and thank you for the opportunity to be on this interview.
Again, I would like to thank Adrian Yanez for joining me today, and I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for watching this interview. I've been Zach Harkness with MMA Island, and I will see you all in the next one.